Welcome to This Commerce Life. We are an unscripted podcast dedicated to small businesses and entrepreneurs in the retail and consumer packaged goods space in Canada and the United States.
I'm Phil Chang, co-host and co-founder.
And I'm Kenny Benici, co-host and co-founder of This Commerce Life.
Our love is the journey to retail, and our passion is sharing that with you every week.
Hey. The voice. How are you, gentlemen?
How are you?
I'm doing well. What's going on?
Excellent. A little bit here, a little bit there. Just stuff going on.
Where are you at, Phil?
Oh, I'm at home.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, I got the blur on. I'll show you the. It's not my studio. It's the kids' studio. That's my daughter's.
Yeah. Nice.
While we're drawing stuff. So yeah.
I see Kenny's all decked up for all the latest and greatest.
What's going on?
Just hanging out. I'm in Penticton.
Yeah, you look like you're struggling.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm locked out of our what do you call it? Our Airbnb.
Oh no!
So I decided to take it on the patio. So
that's awesome.
That's hilarious.
Wait, you said you're locked out, or the wife locked you out?
Yeah, the wifey and the baby. There's 3 families that are here. We rented a house for about 5-6 days.
Okay.
And the girls have the babies, so they're out at some winery, and we just got back, and we can't get in.
Are they? Oh, I see. That's hilarious. Well, doesn't look like you're gonna have to fight the weather or anything like that, so it's all good.
Yeah, no, I'm golden.
Nice.
We're supposed to bring it back in the cargo for Rod.
Yeah.
Figure it out.
Oh man.
So gentlemen, what podcast number is this? And you guys are so busy. I have to book 3 months in advance or 2 months in advance to get a spot.
Well, you can see a specialist faster than the two of us, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
It's gone crazy the last couple months.
Yeah.
What episode are we on?
Like what we published or how many? So we just published episode 238. But wow. we've got
we're behind.
I want to say that we've really got recorded up to about 245.
Wow.
Give or take.
Yeah, we're a little bit behind now. We've kind of bundled a whole bunch together.
How do you guys do it?
Well, if you work part-time, buddy, you can do lots of things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's not really the answer, but okay.
We can
go with that.
I feel like you guys are full time, and this is something that you do on top.
Yeah, we've definitely leaned into the gig for sure, and then this has been fun. We have
fine time for this. This is easy.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, really close. So 238. You're probably going to be 244-ish. Yeah, 244-ish.
Hopefully,
considering we didn't think it was going to last that long.
Yeah.
I don't know how long. I thought we maybe did this for 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months. It's been 4.5 years.
4.5 years. Yeah.
So that's like an average of one a week. If not,
we do.
We haven't. The only week that we've ever missed is the week that Kenny took a week off because he had COVID.
Yeah, I just couldn't do it. I was dying that week.
He just couldn't suck it up, and
it's terrible. I couldn't stay awake.
I bet.
I couldn't stay awake.
That's tough, man. Yeah.
No, it was. It was terrible. Oh my god, it was rough. But anyway, it's all good. All good.
I've heard horror stories, and I've heard that people go through it and they don't even know they had it. So
I'm sure there's people. They had people over last night, and 4 of the 6 of us had not had it. Not that they know of.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the difference. And, my wife's had it twice. I've had it,
I've never had it, but I'm sure I've had it, I have been around enough people that have had it. Part of the family's had it, I've just never, so I don't know what that means. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. It's all good. How long are you in Penticton?
I'm here until Monday.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's a nice little getaway.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I was walking the baby this morning, and I walked 3 blocks. I was in the water, and there was that many people. I was like, "This is awesome."
Is it quiet?
It seems quiet, but I usually spend my days in the house
Yeah, whatever,
taking
right?
turns on the baby and then working from home.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
That's all part of it. That's part of that's part of the new dad thing, right? I mean, they're babies. What are you gonna do?
yeah,
You
but
seem like
guys,
you're enjoying it though. It's a
I
lot of
love it.
fun. Yeah.
It's unreal. It's a gift. It's
Yeah.
very fortunate and honored to have the opportunity to be a parent.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just,
Yeah.
I know we've kind of caught up briefly over the last few months, and I know you two share the same feelings. So
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
It
It
is.
gets a lot cooler. It gets cooler. I tell you, we say it every time
yeah,
we talk about kids on the podcast. Every stage is better than the last one, right? And I'm
Wow.
like loving the kids now.
Me too. Except when the boy takes the car out, and then I'm like, I'm not sure. You
Yeah.
know?
Even now, what the hell? If they could find a gas station or a car wash, it's golden. Not that they ever find that, but if they could, it'd even be great.
yeah. Just across their mind, right?
Listen, the kid paid for gas the other day on the hybrid, and he was upset because he was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel that it cost me so much money." And I was like, And he goes, "So, Dad, it was like $80." And I go, "Okay. Oh, you're expecting me to pay you back? But I don't think so, right?" And he was like, "What?" I was like, "Look, you drove the car, man. Like, the least you can do is pay for it once out of the 10 times you drive the car, right?" Like,
exactly. Jesus.
And throwing a 20 for him filling it up, right?
Yeah, right.
So
I know.
Make it a
hundo.
Make it even, honey.
Right?
We'll be happy, right?
Jeez.
Like seriously, what's the matter with these kids? Holy jeez,
man. So that's kind of a hike for you, right? Because you're on the island, and so
Yeah,
how long did it take you to get out to Penticton?
We got on the 6:20 a.m. ferry.
Mm-hmm.
Got to Wasson like just after 9. Saw my parents. We got here about 5 p.m. yesterday.
Okay.
So it was almost like a
an all
12-hour day.
Yeah. That's quite the hike.
Well, because Salt Spring, because you can't come to the mainland from Salt Spring. You got to go to the island first, then come to the mainland, right?
You can. There's I call it the milk run, but you can go from Salt Spring and go to like 3 or 4 islands, and your last stop is Tawasin. That's like 3 hours.
That's that's a hike.
But you stay in one ferry. You don't have to,
Oh, which is like that's not too. I mean, if you're a tourist, I mean, it's really pretty, right? I mean, you can see what's really cool. You go through the eye, see it's nice. But like for people who live here, Mama Mia, 3 hours. 3 hours. Oh. I can get to Toronto practically.
here's if you take Harbor Air or Sea Air, like if you take a seaplane over, you're golden. Wifey and I, Jen, used to live on East Van, and sometimes if I had meetings downtown and I left at like 7:30, I'd be in traffic for like half an hour, 45 minutes, then find parking, right, which is very affordable in Vancouver.
Oh, totally.
Right? Yeah.
Just like the housing.
$14 an hour or whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
And then you're racing to your meeting for like an 8:30 and just getting tight. I can get on like an 8:50 plane, get to Cole Harbor or 7:50 plane, get to Cole Harbor at 8:15 and walk to a meeting there by 8:30.
It's crazy, eh?
It's
amazing.
It's pretty amazing. It's the best commute I've ever experienced in my life. Seaplanes.
You got the rockstar commute, man.
Yeah, I don't do it often, but when I do, it's nice. It's pretty special. Yeah.
When I was working in the old days, I mean, we periodically would go to like Van Island, like Victoria, and it was wonderful, right? Because you just go from down Cole Harbor, fly right downtown Victoria.
Yeah.
Like super fast. I mean, the only shitty part is if it's ceilings under 3,000 feet, they can't fly or something like that, right? Because they have to fly by sight. They can't fly instrument, right? But it's such a neat way to fly. Landing on the waters is so cool, and I loved it.
It's nice.
It's nice.
Well, Kenny? Episode 244. Do you guys want to kick it off, or
Kenny, do you want to do an intro?
Sure. So today we have on Jerin. How do you pronounce your last name?
Mece.
I was assuming that, but I didn't know.
You're one of the few
Valdemians dropped the C or not, right? Right. So Jerin Mece, who's your claim to fame, I'm assuming, in terms of business, not a multitude of other things you're famous for. Having a child, super famous. That's awesome. But co-founder of New Beverages, which is I guess like a vodka spritzer
vodka
idea,
soda.
right? Vodka soda.
We kind of started the category.
And I think how you and I connected, which brought us to this mess. I think I reached out to you on LinkedIn. You commented something on LinkedIn, and I thought, he seems like a nice kid. So I thought, I'll bug him for a bit, see what it is.
I slid into your DMs on LinkedIn, and I think he has, I think he had a post about Fairy Creek or coffee or just something that was impact driven, and I was like, this guy sounds like a cool guy. I love his posts, and
he sounds like he knew what he's talking about.
No, I'm gonna tell the kids, this is recorded. I'm gonna see the kids. See, this guy thinks I'm a cool guy. I'm gonna tell my kids that. Yeah, because I nerd dad bullshit. See, I got called a cool guy by a young guy too.
Yeah,
better believe it.
Now look what you've done. Good job, Jerin. Man.
Anyway, it just resonated with the kind of the authenticity and impact piece. So I wasn't aware that you did a podcast, to be honest, until we got chatting. So
well, and then because I looked at your thing and I thought, oh shit, that's kind of cool, local. That's I've had new products. I thought I'd have them on, and then I found out inadvertently. I mean, I was in the car with Rattan one day, and we're driving, and he goes, "Well, should introduce me with people." I said, "Well, I met this guy, and I met this guy Jerin." He goes, "Well, I could have introduced you." I said, "Well, I don't need you anymore." First off, he found me. Now I can see he found me and thought I was cool. On top of that. Cool. But he found me. I don't need you. They introduced me to the cool kids in town. I can get them too, eh?
That's funny.
He's never going to shake that. We're going to have to make him a T-shirt now or something. Jerin said I was cool. I think
I'll wear that.
Gonna have to say.
Well, you better believe it. I'm all over that. So. Oh man! I'm going to tell the kids when we hang up this thing. I got one in Vernon, one's in New Zealand. Everybody's getting a little WhatsApp.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll screenshot it down. Yeah, so that's how we connected, and then I ran into you guys at CHFA.
That's right. Yeah.
That was a blast.
You were kind enough to introduce us to a couple of people. One hasn't come on. Her episode hasn't come on yet, but founders of Chiwis, so Sarah Goodman.
Yeah.
So bad with names.
Hers came on. I think I listened to that one.
Yeah, she's on. Yeah. She's been on. And then the other one that has been
Karen
on is the Cheese
Blue
Lady.
Heron.
Yeah, Blue Heron.
Oh, what a fascinating.
Not been on yet.
She was wonderful. What a great story.
Oh my
I mean, Sarah's was awesome too, so I'm not going to want to just both on. But the cheese one to me was massively intriguing, just because I like cheese, right? I like cheese, not dairy cheese. But the way she's described it, and I've had her cheese. It's the only vegan one I've had that I actually enjoyed. Typically, I'm thinking, okay, you people, you call it whatever you want, but it ain't cheese. But her stuff actually, it's got the texture and sort of the consistency of a cheese.
Jerin also sets a different standard. So for anyone who comes on the podcast or is going to come on and they can't make it, Jerin not only canceled early, but he actually found us 2 guests. So that is the new standard for anyone who can't make it. You need to actually bring 2 guests. Because that's what Jerin does, right? So Jerin was like, "I'm so sorry I can't make it." We're like, we're podcasters, right? So we get that no one really cares about what we do. So like when people cancel, we kind of like
whatever. They don't have to. That's a no show.
But Jerin is like, no. I not one but 2, and they're both amazing. So yeah.
To the point where if he never came on, it really didn't matter. We got 2 rock stars out of him anyway.
Nice. Now, do you think he's so cool? I don't think so.
I'm in stitches right now. You guys are hilarious. I loved it. I messaged Kenny. I was like, Kenny, thanks for calling me out on the podcast. I booked one for you.
I figure, if you're gonna put pressure, you're gonna cancel on us. Fine, we'll put pressure on you. Let's stick him a little bit. See what happens. Oh, it's so good. That was awesome. But great guess. Like out of anything, like seriously, set the bar. That was awesome. Thank you, because they were wonderful to talk to.
They were really wonderful.
Like really,
we really
cool.
enjoyed them. Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah, very, very impressive and very inspiring.
Yeah, like seriously, like just got their shit together, hard work, and away we go.
Yeah,
it was really cool.
All right, man. Tell us about you. What's going on with you?
The format because you've listened. Just give us the Cooper Scooper. What's going on?
Should I take it back or what's going on today?
You can kick it back as far back as you want.
Yeah. I've been in food, beverage, and hospitality for 21 years. I immigrated to Canada in the late 90s, and you typically work multiple jobs as an immigrant, clean buildings, cafeterias,
Yep.
coffee shops. My first legal job was McDonald's, and that was in 01. Yeah.
I love legal.
Yeah,
for those who don't understand, that means paid by check.
But in the kind of early mid 2000s, I got an opportunity to work for a company called CIM, Consumer Impact Marketing, and I did brand activations and festivals, events, and large scale kind of events. And I just fell in love with how consumers made that emotional connection with the brand, right? How you connected with them, how you introduced a product, deliver the product, knowledge, kind of benefits and features, and did the Pepsi Taste Challenge, kind of like Frito-Lay, Xbox, Sobe, Rush, and the following year I was tasked to hire 60 brand managers to do that across BC. So
wow.
that kind of group started an event planning marketing company at UBC as a start of Facebook, where you had to have an interchange account or like a university account, and I'd put an event or a party, and I would get double-decker buses or limos at UBC, and then it'd get packed because there was that many events on Facebook. So that kind of progressed over time to do corporate events and charity events, and ended up doing some activations for Hypnotic, Grey Goose, some wines, some beer, Sleeman's, some Mike's Beverages, and did some tastings, typically in retail tastings and alcohol beverage at the time. It was individuals that didn't really, and this is some, but didn't really know or understood the brand. And it was just like they were hired by an agency, they got an email, or they went to, so they didn't have all the deliveries and were passionate about it. So there's a bit of disconnect, right? They're typically a bit it just wasn't a good brand fit. It was somebody that's never tried the product,
right?
Yeah. So anyway, did a number of those, did them slightly differently. At one point, I had to wear off topic here. I had to wear it was Bear Flag Wines, and I had to wear a bear mascot costume. And it was unique. So that grew. I was fortunate. I went to, at the time I was studying. I was at UBC, and then I went to Douglas College to do my physical education degree for teaching with minor in marketing, and then went back to UBC to do my bachelor's of education. And I realized I was like $30,000 in debt. I needed to get a job, so I went back to events and marketing, worked for Thunderbirds for a few years, then managed a few nightclubs and restaurants. And then I was like, I'm tired of the late nights. I want to go into the other side. So I worked for a fine wine and beer and spirits distributor called Peter Malazinski Agencies, and really enjoyed my time there. Met a few of my mentors, Peter Jr. himself, but most importantly, the guy named Dave McIntosh, that kind of showed me the ropes on the back end, how to import products and work with the liquor boards, and a lot of great people at PMA. So that was great. Was the top rep for a brand called Jägermeister across the country. And then in 2016, I met my previous business partner, Julius, and we started Nude, kind of raised a few $100,000. Did hundreds of designs, did hundreds of pitches, and then launched a year later in July 2017. So it'll be almost 5 years now that it's been in market. And it was a very humbling experience. Got to go to thousands of stores and build something very special. So it was an honor to be a part of it.
And sorry, so Nude is the
Nude,
sugar-free, right?
Yeah, Nude Beverages was the first ready-to-drink beverage, is the RTD category.
Okay.
That was sugar-free, sweetener-free, carb-free, locally produced in the 5% kind of ABV.
Okay.
Typically, they were full of sugar.
Right.
30, 40 grams. A 6-pack would be your
Yeah.
daily nutritional.
Your calorie count for
maximum.
the calorie count for the day.
Yeah, that's it. So it's just clean and crisp. It didn't give you that sugar-induced hangover, and it was kind of, to me, it was more than an alcohol beverage brand. It was a lifestyle brand that ideally empowered others. If two guys in their 20s could do something, hopefully it empowers you to put better for you products out there and chase your dreams and do something special. So, and
that's
give
kind of
back.
ballsy, right? Because that was white space, really.
Yeah.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
Like I remember when Nude came out, because you guys came out. I don't know how hard, but like by the time I saw it, let's say it's definitely going to be pre-COVID. But we went in the liquor store 1 week. There's nothing. You go to the section, there's Mike's and all that other shit, which is highly sugared to me. I never liked it because it's too sweet. And then before you know it, there's stacks of these white cans and boxes and like all over the place. And you're thinking, okay, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
Right. And then you read the can and think, oh, this actually might just taste like what it's supposed to. Like, I don't need the sugars and stuff.
But you also
didn't have anybody there. Like,
you also did something that you didn't have to, right? Because that category, I think everybody else in that category, this is just my own opinion, but everybody else in that category recognized that if I could throw the right combination of sugar and flavor together, I'm going to make money at it, right? It's going to sell. So do you know what I mean? Like, so having something that is sugar free in that category was like an incredibly responsible thing to do when, nobody in that category was being responsible, right?
But why
exactly.
Like, why
right?
do it? Like, why do you think it was actually going to work?
Yeah, it's a harder road is like, I guess what I'm getting at.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. It happens to be like the godfather of this space, Anthony Von Mandel, is from BC and kind of started the canned beverages space, something more sessionable that wasn't beer that, didn't get you bloated, but it was high sugar for, in the early 2000s. This innovation, it's kind of, people have been drinking vodka sodas for decades. You know what I mean? It's nothing new. You go to the bars,
right.
Vodka sodas in the early 2000s. It's just that it came in the can format in the mid 2015s kind of thing, and maybe earlier in 2013 in other places. So it's been there. It's just that the market was ready for it, right? Hitting all the trends. People were watching what they're putting into their bodies, the ingredients, where it's produced, the calorie content, if it hits the keto market, right? So it was just the right timing for it, and we're fortunate enough to be ahead of that. And we also executed, right? It's great to have a good product that tastes wonderful, but does the rubber hit the road on execution? And I was fortunate enough to travel across the country in the US and Europe and Australia, and been to thousands of stores, done hundreds of tastings, and it did it kind of the old school grassroots way, right? Cans in hands, liquid to lips, nothing special. It's not like it's something secretive that we did. It's just
but you did
pound the pavement.
But you did it, and you got like the space. Like, that was the part that impressed me more than sort of the other part. I mean, retail space, whether it's a liquor store or a normal store, retail space is retail space. Like, you don't just get floor space because you come in and smile and tell a nice story, right? I mean, nobody gives a shit, right? It's, what's this going to do for me? But I do remember, like, literally 1 week there was nothing, and then there was white cans, white boxes, like, stacked, and you're thinking, all right, like, what the hell? And then everybody's talking about, like, seriously, all our friend group, because I'm a lot older than you, is, people are trying to watch their sugars, and nobody liked the sort of the hangover you got. Like, if you had 5 or 6 of, let's say, not going to pick on Mike's, but like Mike's or those things, like, you got a lot of sugar.
You knew,
man. It's not just
the next day you paid for it.
Like,
the next
you pay
day.
for it, right? Because it's
100%.
overloaded with sugar pop. Where your stuff, like, all our friends are thinking, oh my God, this is actually good. We can drink quite a few of them. You don't get that sugar rush, sugar hangover.
Totally. And it also premiumized the category, and now it's even, the prices are increasing more, but it got people to buy up. Usually it was more of an economy, kind of a 6-pack for $8, $9, $10.
Right.
Now a 6-pack's $15.
Right.
And when you think of it, when it was like in 2015, retail sales for hard seltzer, which is sugar brew or fermented malt, like malt,
right,
in the US, because that was about $245,000 in retail sales. Last year is over $6 billion. So it's triple digit growth year after year, massive. And it's taking a large chunk from a number of categories, but for beer as well too. So the last time stakeholders experienced this kind of growth was probably in the 80s for light beer. So, you got something that's clean and crisp. It hits, it hits what consumers are wanting.
Right.
It's refreshing. Yeah, it's sessionable, and it gives you great margins, great turns, right? So I've been kicked out of stores when I first started it. I've been sworn at, yelled at, and it took a while. It took like a good 6 to 9 months of heavy trial and grinding it daily, because people their palates weren't used to that,
right?
Unless you got it right away, right? Unless you drank a lot of soda water, or you drank vodka sodas, or
if you drank vodka sodas, which I did. Like I like vodka sodas, right? Like then you got it right away. Thought, oh, okay, this is I get this. This is nice on the palate, clean, and a little flavor. Well, that's kind of different. That's kind of cool.
Totally. And once it hit, and once you had a few, but the first few sips were different for people just because they all used to drinking cider or coolers or what have you. But it was awesome.
Now you're still part of that, and you're still doing that, but it's not your main focus anymore, right? You're doing other things.
I didn't. I had a falling out with my business partner, which happens quite often, not values aligned, and won't get too in detail, but just parted ways, and still the second largest, shareholder, and was fortunate enough to hire and train a lot of people at News. So it's their time to take it over and do what they can. And in the process where I sit on the board of Blue Heron Lumi Foods, and it was just like, when I met Karen, tried the product, met the team, it was just like their mission was, to go after cheese, but just to make a product that's better for you, better for the people, better for the planet, better for the animals, more sustainable, direct sourcing, and then went through the B Corp certification with a third party a decade. Kristen and the team there were phenomenal, and Brianna. But anyway, it was just like a light bulb went on. It's like something like I see business as a force for good, right? I see that it can have such positive impact. So anyway, it was like, I'd love if I had everything I needed, and I don't need much because I live on Salt Spring on farmland, right? I'm very fortunate having a loving family and a roof over my head and food on the table. So like, I was like, what would I do? And it was just to give back and have impact and support other local founders, or ideally, female entrepreneurs, and help them de-risk, grow, scale, and get access to capital. So, out of necessity, my business partner now, Andrew, we started an impact fund where, we help values aligned founders, and we work with a number of them and help them grow and scale.
Very cool.
Wow.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's really
very
cool.
good. Very good.
Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what we're up to now. And what I'm up to now.
Can you share like some of the ones?
Yeah.
I had that at the show.
85 milligrams of caffeine. A couple buddies in the East Coast, a phenomenal team, just great people, but another innovation and something that's clean and crisp and
not loaded with crap tons of sugar.
Yeah, it gets you that afternoon pick me up. You don't have bad breath. So I think it should be a health product in a way.
You know what? Listen, I don't think, caffeine is, caffeine gets a bad rap from the Italian guy who drinks, crap tons of espresso every day. Bad rap, undeserved.
I love coffee, and I love the tradition of coffee, but in the afternoon, I love the convenience of cracking and
exactly.
Just,
but it's a nice, refreshing way to
totally
to have a nice drink. I really enjoyed it too, because I did like it, because it's not sweet. Because I can't do the Red Bulls and I can't do all that shit. I'm not. Again, I can't drink cough syrup. And to me, that's what all that stuff tastes like to me. It's just so sugared. I just don't get it.
Highly processed with things you can't pronounce, probably, right?
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
So I've never understood that.
Yeah, another one I'm very passionate about is I don't know if you've connected with the Wise Guys, Wise Iced Tea, kind of an upcycled coffee leaf tea. Arno and Max, they've been at it. They started with loose leaf for about 8 years and got into RTDs now. Cool. So it's started year
cool.
2.
Okay.
Yeah, typically a great family farmer from Nicaragua too that provides the leaves, but typically the coffee beans are used and harvested, and leaves are discarded. So they found a way to roast them and extract these great flavors out of it with antioxidants, 35 milligrams of caffeine, a tiny bit of sugar, and it's a great refreshing beverage in another industry that's got 30-40 grams of sugar in a bottle, right?
Well, exactly, which is why I don't participate in those drinks either. Right, because it's trying to get away from the sugar.
Kenny, you're 100%. Kind of grouchy. I feel like you don't drink anything.
I drink everything as long as it's clean. I don't like sugar in all my shit. I can't drink sugary drinks. I mean, pop is the only thing I can do because pop is supposed to be sugary.
Yeah.
But I can't do like all that. I can't do the sweet. It drives me nuts. I'm not grumpy either. I had a very good day, by the way, young man. Grumpy. I got called cool. Did you get called? Maybe you're grumpy. Maybe you need to be called cool.
Easy now.
Maybe there's a problem there.
Now look what you've done. Look at these.
We gotta get you. We gotta get you a nude vodka soda. We gotta get you a Chico one right now on the show, right? You could even sprinkle some NRC in there. Have it,
Hey, there you go.
Just refreshing.
There you go.
Get your electrolytes, right?
Exactly. A little vitamin C. Holy moly! We're totally into the health side now. We need NPN.
Oh man, no, it's true. The other ones, and I don't know if you got a chance to connect with the founders from Humble yet, Alicia and Jeff Lehay.
No. We're writing these down. We're just going to see KB names from you. So.
Humble Potato Chip, Canada's first organic potato chip in a
you introduced me. That's why I met you at the show.
Oh, yes,
we were right there.
Yeah,
that's right.
Unreal. I work with a lot of founders, and these two are just mind blowing. Great executioners, decades of experience in the space. But it's I've never been a part of a brand that's launched and has been in over 1,000 points of distribution.
Wow,
it's pretty cool. Seriously,
that blows me away.
And that's not an easy category. I know people think it is. It's not an easy category.
Oh no, for sure.
Because you got two players, especially in this country, that really dominate the real estate within those types of snacks.
Yeah.
Dominate.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Humble was good. I remember these guys.
I remember that was the first. That's where we met you. Gave you years for not coming on the show. Thank you very much. Sarah. Right? Yeah, I remember that.
No, that's true. I remember that now. That was kind of at the setup the day prior to the show.
I think it was the day before.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah.
And the other one is Source Vitamin Infused Chocolate, plant-based vegan chocolate. The founder, Jenny and Andrew Remlinger from San Francisco, they're phenomenal operators as well, too. And they kind of just started a new way of indulgence for vitamins. Typically, you take, pills, or I take glucosamine and a bunch of other ones, and turmeric and vitamin B, vitamin D. But it's the glucosamines are just big pills, and they're hard to swallow. So it's Jenny needed something because she was plant-based, so she was lacking in vitamin B and a few other things. So the bioavailability of the vitamins through chocolate as a transport mechanism is 3 times higher than typical pills. So you get more of it, and it's just something that you indulge and look forward to taking. So
is it the one in the small bags?
They're in the pouch. They're not in Canada. They're small bags. It's 30 servings per bag.
I think I had them today. I was with Rattan this morning.
Oh yes, I gave them to Rattan. Yes, I gave them some samples.
I had it was the purple bag. That's the one I had.
Yeah.
And I'm looking.
I think you might have had the collagen one.
That's the one I had.
Skin.
That's the one. Yeah. So I'm looking at it because Rattan was trying these, and I'd look at it thinking, well, first off, not for anything. We'll pick on this one since we're here. It took me a while to read it. I'm thinking, okay, what is it?
Yeah.
Because I looked at it and it said vitamin. I'm looking, there's no NPN. I'm not finding the vitamin content.
It's a US product, right?
I know. It took me because I'm thinking, what the hell is this? And then I said, well, it's US. And then I started going through, I think, holy shit, man, this stuff's loaded. It's collagen, it's this, it's that. It's filled. They're phenomenal.
Yeah.
They're phenomenal.
High quality.
So Rajender's having one. His uncle was having one. His cousin was having one. Like we're all just munching on these things. That's interesting. I didn't know.
I think just the delivery mechanism of chocolate is interesting.
I love chocolate as a delivery.
But is that going to be, because traditionally, like I know it's a U.S. thing only, but like in Health Canada,
they did gummies.
Anytime, but gummies for kids took a long time, right? Because I
didn't like them when I was a vitamin buyer.
I know, but gummies for kids, that's like Health Canada would say, oh, you're kind of incenting them to take things. So I wonder with chocolate, are you kind of going down? Will they go down the same road or not? Right? Like,
I think it depends what's in it.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell from the panel because it's not like a Canadian panel where we could easily see, how much we were getting. I mean, I read it quickly. It would look more like a food panel, and that's why I was confused. I told Ratan, what are you gonna do with these? These are not. You can't do this in Canada. Like you're 50 million miles from regulation.
Who knows? Who knows? We may one day, right?
You can do it not the way it was. You have to go through the claims and all that. And that's what I was telling him, right? So you can't cheat on these and try them. Like you can't change the label enough to make it compliant in our country.
For sure.
But really cool concept, really tasty too.
Yeah, no, and they're doing extremely well. And our co-founder there is Sarah Hyland, and she's phenomenal from Modern Family, and she's been a tremendous partner. And that's another way of like the cost of acquisition and getting customers and advertising with Facebook and Instagram is hard. Is like, but with our like founders,
seriously,
it's been great. We're getting some wonderful traction and just great media through that kind of more organic. Like she was on the Ellen show a few months ago. We probably experienced the biggest spike we've had in the history of the product. So yeah.
Well, look, she's a pretty big personality, right?
For
like
sure.
Part of a larger cast, but definitely a personality and pretty articulate individual, right? So it's got to be, right demographic, the whole bit, right? So, really good value add for the brand for sure. That's really cool. Really cool.
So that's kind of where we're at. It's keeping us busy and supporting the founders to grow these brands. And
so you're on a perpetual hunt, or are you being massively selective?
We're not. This is all kind of referrals and organic, and it's just like being on the founder side, you have to wear so many hats, and it's a lonely journey, and at the end you just want some support. But if somebody's doing a capital raise and they got a phenomenal product, they need the cash flow to hold the inventory to expand to a larger retailer or to fill a PO, and it just takes away from, you're like, oh, I need to raise $1 million, but like, who's going to run my business?
Right.
So it gets quite challenging. So, we've come in and we've put together a syndicated kind of platform where it's a special purpose vehicle. And we go to tried and true entrepreneurs or experts in the space, people who have had exits, and we pull in the money, and then, we'll raise $500,000 or $700K, and they can still focus on the business, and we'll support them. So we're very founder friendly. We sit on the same side as the table as them, and we get it. We want to do what we can to support, and they focus on what they're the best at, and then we'll bring in people along the way to if it's fractional CEOs as or advisors or senior leadership.
Which makes sense though, right? Because again, as the founders can typically get things to a certain point. When you start hitting capital raises and stuff like that, it's a distraction. And what you don't need them to do is start losing focus. You know what I mean? It's hard enough to focus on the day to day, and typically you're running lean and all that stuff, right? It's just another distraction on top of enough stuff to do, right? So if they have people like you that can at least help out and take some of that pressure away.
What kinds of things do you look for? So as you, like when you look at these brands, right? Like clearly you have an eye for detail, and you've got an eye for quality, right? Like brands, because the brands that you've picked, nobody has a crystal ball. Maybe you do. You clearly have you have more of a crystal ball than most, I think. But how do you, because I think that's useful for brands too, is like how how does a group like yours go about picking brands to bet on? What are the kind of things that they, that you would look for that a brand
or the things you wouldn't look
think
for
about?
either.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Doesn't matter which side.
For sure. We can go on this, but there's some that are internal, right, for us, which is like value alignment, leaving a legacy, impact, sustainability. We do like disruptive products, ones that bring a lot of value to the consumers. If you're looking at doing the due diligence, it's like, the first thing is like, can you work with these people? Do you like, can you go to war with them or sit in the trenches with them if things get, challenging, right? Yeah. How do they handle stress? But it's like, do you think there'll be founder syndrome and then have, kind of eye in the sky as in like, I want to be a billionaire, or it's like, I saw this exit, so I'm doing this. It's just like, it's like that's a red flag, yeah. Right? And it's like, do they listen, or are they open to feedback? Do they take that back? They don't need to take, our advice or others, but it's like, are they open to that kind of feedback? And then the unit economics have to make sense. It takes a different scale and strategy to go to 5 million, 25 and 50 and 100. Are they mature enough or humbled enough to get out of their own way at certain, because sometimes a certain leader or founder may not be the best person to take it to the next level. Yeah. They did great at this. So, operations, work ethic, sound judgment in those executions, for sure. This we look at, and you can go to gross margins and EBITDA and what that is after trade spend and all that. But in the first few years, if you go into emerging brands and categories, it's they might be losing money the first 18 months or 24 months because they're building a brand. Right. So how big is the category, the projected growth? Has there been innovation in the space in a decade or two or not? Is it the right time? What's their go-to-market strategy? How do they connect with the consumers? Do they have a tribal following? Does the product have a pent-up demand? Do they have great feedback and connection with the consumers online or digital or TikTok or, right. So we look for a lot of things, and we typically do about a dozen calls with a founder before we take something on. And I think what makes us different is that we write our own checks to everything we do, and we roll up our sleeve, and like, I'll be on my knees at the bottom row and merchandising it, or I'll turn the chips bags upside down, right, and then make them crisp and flip them back up so the flavors is on top and it looks better, right? And it's like, yeah. I'll do the sales calls. I'll sit in with the distributors and brokers, and I'll connect wherever we can. So we try and be hands-on because we love the brands that we work with, and we want them to succeed, and we strongly believe they deserve to succeed. And it's so tough being a local startup in this category, and you guys have highlighted all the work that goes into it and the cost, but you're going against multinational conglomerates and strategics that could squash you pretty quickly.
Their petty cash box is top line revenue.
Totally, yeah. Right? It's like their marketing budget is 5 times your global operating budget.
But it's true, right?
Yeah, and it's shocking, and I don't know if we discussed this, but I learned from a mentor of mine that I guess we'll focus on grocery in Canada, but the net EBITDA of all the grocery combined outlets in Canada is almost equivalent to the supplier trade spend. So it becomes less of the pull through, and it's like listing fees and delisting fees and
everything. Just pick a fee.
Yeah, but
Monday fee, Tuesday's fee,
bill back, charge
I'm
back,
bored with you fee.
Yeah.
My boss is yelling at you fee.
Yeah, you're a pain in the ass to deal with fee.
Oh
right?
My god! Well, I used to have an aggravation fee when I was a buyer. Well, if you agitated the shit out of me, you're going to pay for it somewhere, but you're just bugging.
He threatened me with it. I never got hit with it, but he did threaten me with it, for sure. Funny.
You know, one thing I want you to expand on before we go too far away, because we're here, is because I think it's important, because we do get a lot of small brands that listen to the show. We have brands that come in. Do me a favor, just like go back to the founder syndrome. Yeah. And just do me a favor, like, a little more in depth and highlight a little bit more, because I think this is one part where a lot of people lose sight of what a cool idea is and not understand that a cool idea is not necessarily a business make. Do you know what I mean? Like, and they get lost in themselves, or they get in the way of things. If you don't mind, it's some insights on that.
Mm-hmm. No. Have you experienced anything recently, or do you have, could we go more specific?
I don't know if there's anything specific per se, Jerin. I find that it's sort of what you were saying, but I was hoping you'd actually have some insights on is we know a lot of people, like nobody's specific per se, like people in general, that they have a tendency to get so wrapped up into their world and their space and what they believe that they stop sort of hearing, like they hear you, but they don't listen, and they don't potentially appreciate some of the things you might be trying to tell them, how to not get boxed in a spot that they're not going to get out of. Like they just lose sight of, I think, the game is, or I don't know if that's a good way to say it.
So like I don't know if this qualifies as founder, but you know, like what we've encountered is you'll kind of get a founder who is committed to the dream of something, and then what they do is they go and they hire a team, because they've read that hiring the best team is the right thing to do. They hire a team, but then what they start doing is, you know, they start launching products because they think that they've made the dream. You know, and so you're kind of like, you get guys like us that will go, whoa, listen, you just like, we've got 6 products that, you know, are core to your business. We got to drive the crap out of these and get you some size and scale. And the founder has left the building because they are, you know, kind of 8, 9, and 10 are, you know, in their head and out.
Totally. Yeah. Right. No, I like focusing on doing what's most important for the business and you can execute on now. Right. I think some founders are focused on the outcome and end goal, when it's the process and the journey that's way more fruitful. Right. And it comes, for me, at least in CPG, it's the value that your product can bring to people's lives. Right. So it's like when you're going to like 8 SKU, 9 SKU, 10 SKU, but you haven't proved SKU 1 and 2, and each SKU is costing you 50, 100K to launch. Right. You've hired the best team, but you're in debt a couple million.
Right.
And, you know, it's just like, it doesn't make sound or logical sense.
Or you're hiring the best team for a skill set they have, and then you still want to tell them how to do their job.
And yeah, to me, it's just like, one of the rules I had is like, my goal was to empower and set the people in my team up for success in and outside of their careers or their workplace. Right. And give them the tools to do so. Right.
Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Makes sense.
So, but
it's a common problem. That's why I didn't want to gloss over, because I don't think
people, it's massive.
And I think it's founders don't see it themselves, and they have to be willing to listen sometimes to people like you who are coming in and saying, listen, you potentially on this one are in the way.
It's a pet peeve of mine. It's like, get in the market, talk to the consumers. The market will vote. The consumer will vote with their wallets. Go and have the interactions. Go talk to the buyer. Live in the store. Go there early. Right? You sit at your desk and you just think, because the days are over when you put a product on the shelf and you think it's going to move.
Yeah.
And you got a successful brand. And the thing is, it's like, it's so difficult. Like, what is it? 87% of businesses go under within the first 5 years.
Yeah.
There's probably something, maybe something even in the low 90s once you.
I would say probably a little higher, maybe even. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's a tough gig.
Yeah.
You know,
it's also, you know, way more expensive than it used to be. Like I know that, you know, so launching product was always kind of expensive, but you think of where we are now, where, shipping, you ship the wrong product, you're kind of screwed, right? Like the shipping costs are crazy, everything's crazy right now. To not be focused in what you're doing is actually quite dangerous, right? Like there was a point that if you could survive the Loblaws listing fee or whatever and get on shelf, it would sell, right? And you'd be fine, right? Like no matter how you crashed at it, you'd be fine eventually. But now that's not the case, right? Like there are.
Mm-hmm. Why go that wide when you haven't gone deep and won over your own market?
Yeah.
Like start small.
Yeah.
If it's a farmer's market, you win at 1, then go win at 3, then go win at 10, then 40, then a regional approach. Like you've got like success leaves cues, right? You've seen a handful of brands that have done phenomenally well on the West Coast and have exited, but it's like they built that pent up demand, that velocity, that cult like following, or they solved a problem, but they grew it. And it's like if you do want an exit, and you can work towards that, but these, and I'll give you a booze example, but the multinational strategics sometimes are not the best at innovation. They like getting brands that are doing, yeah.
No, but honestly, you don't get innovation from big brands. You get innovation from little ones. Big brands just buy them.
Yeah. And if you're doing 25, 50 top line, they'll take you and they'll plug you into 75% ACV and grow you to a couple $100 million top line within the next 18 months or so, right? So it's like they're looking for those high turns, that pull through. They're looking for it to be a success in a geography. Great. Did you multiply it to multiple geographies? Yes. I did great in Vancouver, Toronto, California, and New York. Fantastic. It's got opportunity, right? But it's like you go and you launch across country with Lawbus or others, but the pull through isn't there. You've just wasted, 250,000 listing fees, the inventory that hasn't pulled through. And now you have to stimulate that growth over and over again to try and even save the listing or recoup what you can. But if you're very strategic and they see that it's proven in the geography, then they'll be open to potentially investing or acquiring, because they can plug it into their cost-cutting systems and the supply chain and production. And if they they like expanding it, getting the expansion geographies or the cost cutting, and if they can't do it, they buy out a brand. And if that doesn't happen, it's like the category blurring, where it's like, the Topo Chico hard seltzers or non-alc beverage companies getting in booze, or, and I feel like more and more now consumers have the power. You know what I mean?
Like never before.
Yeah. It used to be like a supply chain driven kind of model. It's like, I can fill 80% of the country. I have the stock, I can get it there. Right. And then Whole Foods flips that on its head, and it's a demand driven, and you like, high quality products, or local or organic, or, gluten free. I think innovation will, and focus on niche and prove it out and grow, but innovation will lead the way forward. Like even for me, like I want, there's a beverage at Expo West, but it had like great adaptogens in that turmeric. It tasted great. It had a low sugar profile. It might even had beetroot. It's like you're looking for like so many different things in one item.
Yeah.
That can have that effect, or winding down, or whatever it may be. It's not the most traditional thing. It's like, I'll just pick up a lager and drink 12 of them and then call it a night, right?
Yeah.
I want something high quality or local, or cocktail, or something
just a little under different.
Little different, yeah.
I love it.
Anyway, I feel like I'm just going off topic here, but
there's no off
not
topic.
At all.
I want to honor what my gut says and just share that, and I hope it resonates with a few people.
But I think that's why we wanted you on.
Yeah.
As well, and that's why I've been pushed you on that, because I think people need to listen to people who are out to give you information for nothing more than to give you information. You're trying to help. Like you're like we do it, Phil and I do. You talk from the gut. You talk about it. I don't care if you listen to me. You don't have to listen. But I'm telling you because I'm trying to share some insights that I may know, and I'm trying to give you a little bit of a head start, so maybe you don't crash into the wall that's just around the corner that you don't see yet.
Yeah, I was talking to I think it's called Valor Equity Partners. It's the Starbucks venture arm. I think they're based out of Chicago. And sent them a couple CPG deals on their different arm. But the lady that's the head of it, she called me back within a few days and said, "Hey, we really like this product. I appreciate it. I just want to give you a heads up that it's not a good fit. And I know that I like to let the founders know from the get-go and not waste their time." So it's just like, I truly respected how they handled that instead of just
quite nice. They didn't have to do
taking you through, a couple months worth of due diligence or whatever that may be. And I think when you're dealing with early stage startups or people who are very passionate and have that vision or that dream, and the viability isn't there, or the MVP isn't there, or the product doesn't resonate, or the business plan needs a little bit of work, I think the best thing you can tell them is that it's a lousy business plan. You need to work it again. Right? Instead of wasting their time, or even let's just say they raise money on that business plan, then they got a $5 million headache a year down the road.
Still a lousy business plan. Nothing's changed. Right? If it wasn't a good business plan with no dollars, it's no better with $5 million. It's just now one with a nice big price tag against it, right?
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's been some in Western Canada, and I know Vancouver sometimes gets a bad rep for, these promo deals or these raising capital for certain deals. I know food was hot, but it's like, if you're spending $9 million in advertising to get 12 million in sales, and your operating budget is 55 million, you've lost 54 million or whatever it is, 50 something million this year. Where's your path to profitability? You know what I mean?
Well, but that's what we all wonder, because you look at it, what are you doing this for? There's viability here, not in this case. You got to do this to do something.
You can't go to the market or retail investors, institutional investors, and just keep asking for more money if you haven't proven it out.
Is that driven a lot of times by, I want to be the next Vega and I want to sell for 400 million, or the next Manitoba Harvest and sell for 600 million or whatever. I mean, I think that's a fundamental problem with a lot of founders too, is you lose sight of what you want to do this for. If you're doing this strictly to come in because you got an idea and you think you're going to sell for 50 times multiple, you've already lost. You may really want to rethink it, because you're not going in with the right thing. I love your example. Farmers market, you do 1, then do 3, then do 6. Maybe then go to Stong's, go to Donald's, go to Famous Foods, and hit those. Go to Salt Spring, go to Country Grocer, get a few things going, right? As opposed to, I do a lot less tomorrow morning, get Kroger's in the States, I'm going to sell for $20 billion. All right, sure. I'm glad you're going to get there, but you haven't done anything.
And it takes a lot of effort to scale.
It's hard.
And it's like,
and scale before you have demand. That's again kind of ballsy, right? You want to kind of prove a little bit to make sure you've got something viable.
I think it's executing the basics daily, consistently.
And I guess that's like in anything in life, really, right? If you miss all the fundamentals, if you don't build a strong foundation, the house isn't going to stand. Right. I also old European, analogies, right? You know what I mean? Like they look at it. Well, you built it on quicksand and you used shitty lime in the cement. What'd you think it was going to do? Right. If you didn't do the foundation, the beginning part, how's the end going to look?
I think part of because I think the analogies are sound. I think the problem is we live in an environment where tech startup has kind of overtaken a lot of this, and so kind of this idea that you can kind of hack it together,
fake it till you make it.
I mean, and tech startups are kind of famous for this, right? Like because as long as you get good UI UX people who can build you nice interfaces, you don't necessarily know that you've got a problem until much later, right? And then by then, you raised 2 or 3 rounds because you were able to show some growth, and then but like products aren't built that way. You know what I mean? Like that's the problem. Like I think that's the thing that founders miss along the way, right? They're not built like that. You've really, when you go to a country fair, you have to have the right product, because those country fair people, they're actually really tough to deal with, right? So you got shit on a stick. Like they'll tell you it's shitty, and then they'll tell you it's shitty again next week when they come back and don't buy your product. They'll still tell you it's shitty,
and they'll
right?
tell all their friends.
It's a really
shitty.
Like you screw it up. Like it's a rough. You can't go back to the same country fair. They're just not gonna have you, right? Like,
yeah, and you usually have one chance. If you're lucky, you might have two.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right.
And I think, and you touched on it, Kenny, but if you don't come in with the right intention, and if it's not aligned with who you are and deep at your core, it's going to somehow show. If it's not, if you're not intrinsically valued, if you're externally kind of attached to something or romanticizing what happened. And I also think that not every founder goes with that mindset. I agree. And some don't, some need support, some need help. And I always say, ask for help. Like if you don't know, go to the experts and ask, and, keep calling, right? Ask for support.
And most times people will help.
Yeah.
They might not help forever for free, but especially in this industry that we're all in, people in this industry are pretty damn good. Most will help. Right?
Totally.
Or direct you. Go talk to this person. Tell them I know. Tell them I sent you. Go talk to them. They'll see what they can do. That kind of thing.
And I think once you grow and you get to that certain viability, you have to take care of your people. They're your biggest assets.
Absolutely.
You take care of them, they'll look after your business.
100%.
Right?
100%. Nothing like happy soldiers.
Yeah.
All right.
And I like it when people are all ingrained into. I posted a week ago or two that I started working for Medea Medical Products, a healthcare kind of company. A good friend of mine, Brandon Laidlaw, started and kind of out of necessity and turning around. COVID stepped up. He had great contacts, great capital partners, and stepped up to provide PPE and protective equipment, sanitizers, masks, and then now diagnostics tests, COVID tests, different assays, and growing from there. But he just wanted to do the right thing and support in a time of need. And he brought in the right people and takes care of them. And supports them to grow. Yeah.
Not rocket science.
And it's
amazing.
Yeah. When it's like there's enough to go around for everybody to win, but it's like you got to have that drive to win.
Right.
And grow. Yeah. And you got to execute.
Yeah. Probably the most important part at the end of the day is right, just do it and get her done.
And for leaders like that, you're like, and for the right cause or making healthcare more accessible or equitable, you're like, I'll do whatever I can.
Right. Very nice, young man. Amazing. A treat.
Thanks, Jerin.
You on.
It's been a pleasure. And if there are any people that need some support that are listening or help, well, LinkedIn is the best.
Yeah.
So Jerin, last name Mece, Jerin Mece. You can find me on LinkedIn.
You have to pass that test though. If he says, "How do you say my last name?" and you say it wrong, that's it, denied.
Yeah. No.
It's an instant drop right there.
Yeah, and you said, Kenny and Phil, you're the same. It's like, we're here to help. We're here for a short time.
Exactly.
All right, and it's a challenging industry to begin with.
Right.
So if there's anything we can do, we will, and if we can't, we'll point you in the right direction.
Put you in the right direction and light her up.
And
baby.
if not, best of luck.
Like, after that, there's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Get after it. Go,
do what you got to do, baby.
We'll support in the market when we see the products there, right? Like we'll purchase
amazing.
it. Yeah.
Anyway, buddy, thanks for rescheduling.
Grateful for you guys.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking time away from the fam.
Yeah.
And I appreciate what you guys do. You've connected with so many phenomenal founders and products and brands. And I'm not sure if you do get a lot of feedback or mail, but emails are written, but I know you've had a lot of impact, right? There's so many learning lessons.
That.
Even listen to a few of your podcasts. I was like, this is phenomenal.
Well, if you get people, keep pushing them to us. Like seriously, we'll take them, because I mean, if we can get the word out and help other people behind them who've got ideas and just don't know what to do, then we're doing our part.
I agree. It's this commerce life, baby.
I love you, man.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jerin.
Take care of yourself, buddy.
Awesome.
Stick around. Jerin,
take care.
Enjoy Pinch It.
Bye.
Bye, bud.
He's cool.
Nice.
I like him. Like him a lot.
Nice young man. No, he's got his shit together. He's got his head on screwed on right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think it's important that people listen to people like that, because he's done it, and he's humble enough to know what he can do and what he can't do. And I think that's a fundamental problem with a lot of founders, to be very frank. But that's why I was kind of trying to dig on that. Is I do think it's know what you're good at.
I think that's a big, and I just think that he kind of lends, like he's an investor, right? He's someone that all of these brands that want to sell or raise funds from, his viewpoint is not dissimilar, right? He's just giving you true feedback. Like, you go to most venture funds, they wouldn't tell you all this stuff. They just kind of say, look, you're not ready for us, or something along those lines.
Oh, I won't say anything and drag you through 2 months of hell. And still do nothing, right?
Yeah, but in this case, he's actually been forthright about what's important. So that's a good thing.
No, I like his style. I mean, but that's an intrinsic part of his being. Obviously, that's what he believes, and it shows, and that's why you like people like that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So, my friend, I got to go for business dinner. So
okay, business dinner it is.
I'm bailing on you.
Bail away.
Thank you, everybody, for listening.
Thank you for listening.
That episode.
Yeah.
And if you need any help in this space, Jerin will probably be the guy to help you out.
Jerin, us, just holler.
Hunter, call out.
Holler. Yeah.
Never know what information you may get.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it doesn't do much damage.
Awesome.
Take care.
All right. Take care. Bye, buddy.
Ciao, bud. Take care.